Kia ora, good afternoon. Welcome to Connecting the Dots podcast. I might be way off here, but I was just going to put a tweet out about it, but something just said to me, turn it into a wee podcast. So I was going through some unsolved mysteries and unexplained yada yadas and, stuff to talk about for my podcast, as I do every day, because I love doing this. And I learned in one of the unsolved mysteries or unexplained mysteries about something called the Abell 3266 cluster. And they can't explain the frequencies that come off it. They're not sure what's going on. It has supermassive black holes, in it. And it's like, I'll put links in the description box to explain what all of this is, but my purpose for doing this podcast is a very quick one, because when I started looking up about this Abell 3266 cluster, I discovered a direct correlation between the cluster galaxies, the Abell cluster galaxies, and the medicine wheel of Wyoming. And it looks like, these galaxy clusters are in the exact same constellation in that as everything that I explained, the medicine wheel of Wyoming was translating. When I looked at the medicine wheel of Wyoming, I talked about, Taurus, I talked about Eridanus, I talked about Orion's belt. These clusters are all in the same area where I translated the medicine wheel of Wyoming to be. And the thing is, what I described, what all of that was about, was talking about rebirth and life and death and the evolution of humanity and the evolution of our universe and the expansion of our universe, and how everything has to die in order to be reborn, and everything in the universe gets recycled. And this Abell 3266 cluster, like when I looked at it, when I was watching it, when I was reading it, when I was listening to all the information, all I kept thinking was, is this not literally we're watching like the birth and death recycling process of the universe? They look like zygotes. They look like chromosomes coming together to form new life. And just like with, conception, if you don't get to the end goal in time, if you don't get to the egg in time, like the sperm gets attacked by white blood cells, your immune system kicks in and, kills off all the sperm because it sees it as the enemy and starts attacking it and breaking it down. But the strong sperm get in there and, successfully conceive the zygote, which is when all the cells in that start to formulate in order to make the baby. And it brings in, it starts putting all the chromosomes together of the mother and the father in order to decide the outcome of what the child is going to look like and how tall they're going to be, and basically how long they're going to live, and what their sex is, and all that sort of thing. And that's what I was seeing when I looked at the Abell 3266 and the radio waves, the shock waves and that are coming off it. Is like, it's like, because I keep trying to say to people, everything in the universe is made of atoms, and the atoms are conscious, and when atoms expand, they explode, like the Big Bang. Like when the sperm hits the egg, there's like an explosion, because they have to merge, and there's like an explosion of cells, and everything like expands and grows out, and those cells get bigger and bigger and bigger and turn into like neurons in the brain, and then the central nervous system, and then skeletons grow around it in order to protect that, and then you get like all the muscle tissue, and all the organs start forming, and it's basically babies in the womb is like an expanding universe within itself, and our actual universe is no different. And so that's what I was looking at. I was thinking it's like the birth and death cycle of our universe. And the interesting thing is that it seems to be that the medicine wheel in Wyoming, I am going to have to go to Wyoming. I have to go to this medicine wheel, because this medicine wheel in Wyoming is everything I deciphered it to be in correlation to what I've now discovered about Abell 3266. If you watch that medicine wheel of Wyoming, I talk about Eridanus, I talk about Orion's belt, I talk about Taurus, and Orion's Nebula and the Orion constellation, and like it's all there. Everything, where these Abell galaxy clusters are, is pretty much, I'm utterly convinced of it, is what the First Nations people of Wyoming were talking about on Bighorn Mountain when they put together the medicine wheel, because the medicine wheel, I'm convinced, is talking about the birth, death, and rebirth and recycling of life, and the human spirit, and human evolution, and the evolution of the universe. And it just goes to show, based on my theory of all of this, is that history, governments, man, civilization, and especially science have grossly underestimated the talent and the knowledge that Indigenous people have when it comes to understanding our universe. Because if my theory is correct, the First Nations people of Wyoming that are on that land, that that all this is talking about, knew all of this before they even got telescopes anywhere near that part of the universe. And all the gases and all the sounds and the radio waves and the frequencies coming off it is no different to what you pick up on if you were to monitor the step-by-step stages of conception, because that involves gases and dark matter, like biologically speaking, the birth and death of cells, the creation of chromosomes, the DNA strands starting to, put this child's entire life together based on who and what came before them genetically through the mother and father. This is all seems to be what the Abell 3266 is. It's that we're witnessing it within the universe as opposed to witnessing it within, the human body. And it's everything that I've been saying. It's confirmed everything that I've been saying about, we are basically, because many, 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 many years ago, I asked, when I was trying to discover if God was real, when I was working on quantum magnetics and that. I mean, this is going back like 20 odd years, well over 20 years, maybe even 30 years. I said to God, or I said to the universe, show me God. Like, if God is real, show me. And they showed me the human brain, they showed me the human head, and as it was, they showed me the neurons in the brain, and then they showed me the human brain, and then they showed me that, like the outline of a person, and then they showed me the full body of the person, and then the person standing on the street, and then as it was zooming out, I could see like their town, their county, their state, their country, and then, from outer space. And as I was flying through space and going through, flying through like wormholes and all that, it took me back into the neurons in the brain, and then the human brain, and then the human head, then the human body, and then the body standing on the street, and then the person standing in their town, and it just kept going over and over and over and over like that. And it took me well over 20 years to figure out that what it's talking about is that the universe is conscious, and we are connected to that universe, and God is atom. God is the atom, and the atom is what creates all life in the universe, and that the evolution of that universe is solely dependent on its own biological evolution, and what gets put into it and what gets taken out of it decides what it becomes. And this Abell 3266 kind of seems to have confirmed all of that. And then when I saw it and I was looking it up, and I saw that the clusters are in like the exact same areas of where I had interpreted the medicine wheel of Wyoming to be, it's everything I said, as well as the fact that some of the frequencies that are coming off these clusters, this Abell 3266 and the other Abell galaxy clusters, the frequencies resonate of that are almost identical to the what I was explaining the Dendera lighters. You know, like there's healing frequencies within the frequencies that are coming off this Abell cluster, which is everything I said the medicine wheel was, and the connection that the medicine wheel has to ancient Egypt. So it's all connected, but this is Connecting the Dots podcast. So I'll put links in the description box below. Definitely watch the Medicine Wheel of Wyoming one, because when you read what I've put in the description box and then you watch that video again, and I'll put the Dendera light one in there as well, it's actually quite mind-blowing when you look at it. It's, I mean, or is it just my brain that sees it that way? It kind of, it seems like to me, you know, when I'm listening to some of these astronomers and that talking, they're so over analytical, they're so like by the book about it. They can't think outside the box. They're not seeing it in its simplest form, which is why they get so stumped and why they find it so complicated, because they learn by the book. They can't open their mind and expand their minds to something that is so far greater than you know what is written in a book, or you know written on a chalkboard, because I can't do maths. I have like number dyslexia. Like if I try to put numbers together, it's like number noodles in my head. I can remember long sequences of numbers, but I had to learn the physics for quantum magnetics and that through frequency and through like I'm a visual thinker, so if I hear something, I see it in my head. It helps with my time jumping, and I also kind of figured out as well that anything to do with odd numbers when it comes to quantum magnetics doesn't work. It puts my visions in there off kilter. It puts everything off balance, and I see almost like the glitch in the matrix on top of the truth of existence, the truth of reality. I see behind the glitch in the matrix, and it puts my jumps off, and I will get stuff wrong. But when I don't interfere with the frequency, when I don't interfere with anything that has like odd numbers in it or anything like that, you know, it's like pitch perfect clear reception. And then I can like experience bilocation or multi-location, or what I call omnipresence or omni-jumping or whatever, you know, and you know, that works better for me. So I have to avoid numbers in that. And I kind of, this is no disrespect to anyone in the field of, you know, astrophysics or astronomy or anything like that, because, you know, without you guys, I wouldn't be able to understand half of what I do. But I just think that if they expanded their minds a little and weren't so anal about numbers and facts and figures, if they went with their understanding in a more simpler form, they would figure a lot more out. And when you listen to my Dendera Light podcast and you listen to my Medicine Wheel of Wyoming podcast, and then compare it to the links I'm going to put in the description box below, it's kind of freaky. I'll put a link into the video that I saw, the top 10 unexplained mysteries, blah, blah, blah. But the video that's talking about the Abell 3266 is the last one on the end. So if you want to skip through the whole thing, it's the last topic he talks about. It's number 1. It's like the last one. So just skip through all of them and go to the last one. So links in the description box below. Bit of food for thought. It's just a theory. You don't have to believe in what I'm saying, but I'm throwing my hat in the ring here. It's just that that's what it sounded like to me. It sounds like it's talking about a galaxy version or the universe's expansion, understood like if you know what a zygote is. It looks like we are witnessing, the conception of new life, and we're watching zygotes form, and the genetic structure of what it's planning to spit out to become, and the chromosomes. It's like you're watching chromosomes in that, and the gases, and the radio frequencies that are going to spark the neurons in the brain to come on board, and the central nervous system to kick in, so that you can experience touch and pain and all that sort of thing. It looks like when you're watching this in the video and that, and then these photos, it looks like you're watching everything come together to create a new life form, whether it's a planet or a star or whatever, I don't know, but that's what it looks like to me, and which is fascinating, especially because it's in direct correlation to the medicine wheel of Wyoming and the dendrolite. So just a bit of food for thought there. Short video, links in the description box. Have a beautiful day. We're about to get a thunderstorm. I'm so excited. So I'll speak to you later. Love you. Bye. Ka kite anō.